Okay, hear me out. I know the title is a bold statement, but this is a discussion after all, and I just wanted to share some thoughts, and hopefully you would like to listen. Modding has been a part of gaming culture since the 80s. If you don't know what modding is, it's the process of alteration by players or fans of one or more aspects of a video game. It can be anything from small tweaks and changes to changing the game completely. Some mods can be considered cheating, but most of the time it is a way to enhance the game and extend the replay value. Back in the 80s, it was quite hard to mod games since developers didn't want people messing with their game's code. But that didn't stop people from doing it. Some examples are Castle Wolfenstein, Pac-Man, and Space Invaders. However, it wasn't until the 90s that the modding really started to take over the scene. Doom was released in 1993 and became incredibly popular, and this popularity also resulted in an increased interest from the modding community. What makes Doom so different from other games at the time is that the developers of ID Software, Tom Hall and John Carmack, picked up on this. Instead of trying to prevent modding like most companies did, they embraced it and realized that modding was a way for fans to show their passion for the game. They released all the game's textures, map designs, and sprites and placed them into a WAD file, short for Where's All the Data. This made it a lot more easy for people to mod the game, since they only needed to change the WAD file. This was both a smart and progressive move to do, and separating the files like this became essential for future modding of video games. Many games have gotten an increased shelf life and active communities due to modding. So, what's not to love? Modding is mostly free, as the creators are often fans of the game and want to share their work with other fans of the series. The developers of the game are basically getting free updates without lifting a single finger. So, why is modding on the Nintendo Switch so different? I think we all associate Nintendo with cute, family-friendly and fun games, just like Animal Crossing, Mario games, and Pokemon. Their whole appearance seems innocent enough. I mean, just a look at their Nintendo Switch ads. This doesn't give you the vibe of an aggressive and controlling company, does it? Regardless of how they want to present themselves, Nintendo has a history of being control freaks. An early example of this is what happened to Game Genie. Game Genie is a line of video game cheat cartridges that launched in the 90s. The device could temporarily modify game data, allowing players to cheat or modify the games for the Super NES, Game Boy, Genesis, and Game Gear. Before, people thought it was impossible to mod Nintendo games because they were on cartridges, but the Game Genie changed this. And of course, Nintendo were not a fan of it. They responded with a $15 million lawsuit, claiming it was a breach of copyright. They did manage to get the temporary restraining order to stop the sales of Game Genie, but Nintendo did eventually lose the case. Nintendo has attempted many times to gain a monopoly over manufacture and sale of video games, but this time they actually lost. They do not have a habit of losing legal battles, so the story of Game Genie is a rare one. Overall, Nintendo has the same mindset to this day. If someone is messing with their games, they show no mercy. They don't like people messing with their codes, they don't like people using similar ideas, and they don't like people making fan games. And of course, this means they hate people modding their games. So, what are the consequences of modding your Switch? This video is about Animal Crossing after all, which seems innocent enough. All we want to do is to get new cute items we can place on our islands, but Nintendo doesn't view it like this. Therefore, modding your Switch isn't something everyone can do. To be able to mod your Switch, you need to own an old one. These are known as unpatched Switches. This is because during the early release of the Switch, people figured out that the consoles were hackable due to a hardware hack. When Nintendo discovered this, they secretly patched the new consoles, so this wasn't doable anymore. This happened around mid-2018, so if your Switch is bought after this, well, most likely you are unable to mod your Switch. If you are interested in modding your Switch, there are several ways to check if you have an unpatched version or not. I will leave some link in my sources below if you are interested in checking. I have not modded my Switch, so I won't go into any more details about how it works, simply because I don't want to give any misinformation. But if it turns out you have a patched Switch, well, you just gotta buy a new one. And they aren't exactly cheap either. But the price isn't the only issue when it comes to modding. I brought up Nintendo's strict policy and history for a reason, and this is because there can still be serious consequences if you want to mod your Switch. Modding in the Animal Crossing New Horizons community has been around ever since the game released. If you were around then, I'm sure you remember the star tree controversy, but to summarize it for those of you who are new or simply just forgot, people started to put star fragments in their trees, replacing them with fruits and whatnot. You need to have a modded Switch to create the star trees, but you could dig them up from the ground and place them on other people's islands, even if their Switch weren't modded. This resulted in people selling these trees, often for quite a lot of money, but that's another topic I won't get into. When the Dream Suit was added to the game, this was when things were starting to go downhill with the star trees. People who visit your dream address has the ability to report islands for several reasons. This is of course a feature that had to be added to control harmful and harassing dream addresses, but it also meant that people could report you for hacking or cheating. If your DA was reported for this, it would be taken down, but there are also stories of people who have been banned from Nintendo Online. Some people started to mass report DAs, and some content creators even started to seek out modded islands just for the sake of reporting them. I won't name any names, but I think some of us can remember which dirtbag I'm thinking about. Eventually, the star fragment trees were patched out, which upset a lot of people. Liz the Lass has a very good video about the star fragment tree drama, so I'd definitely recommend you go watch it if you're more interested in the topic. Getting your DA taken down is the most obvious risk with modding, so I don't expect you'll be able to have a public DA containing modded items. But this is the least scary risk when modding. Getting banned from Nintendo Online, however, is a lot worse. Being banned from Nintendo Online would mean you can never play anything online on your Switch again, as well as you won't be able to access the eShop. You can also risk bricking your Switch. This basically means that your Switch is no longer functioning and it can't be recovered. So if you are unlucky when trying to mod your Switch, you might end up destroying it. And this is definitely something to take under consideration if you plan on modding your Switch. But what is so different with modding in Animal Crossing New Horizons now compared to when the game was new? Modding in Animal Crossing New Horizons isn't a new thing. It has been here ever since the game was released. Everything from the famous star fragment trees to making inaccessible items accessible, such as Harv's Fence or the green bench at resident services. Treasure islands are also made with hacked consoles. So why am I bringing it up now? Well, I have a feeling the current situation is drastically going to change the Animal Crossing community. Nintendo promised for a while that they would continue to update the game to keep it interesting. But after the 2.0 update, this was it. Nintendo isn't planning to give us anything more, and because of this, modders have taken the issue into their own hands. There are so many new, amazing and creative mods coming out every day, and in my opinion, they are gorgeous. I wish Nintendo had done the same and created beautiful items such as these. But this is what modders do. They revive the game when the developers won't do it themselves. Even though I love watching people do builds with the new mods, I can't help but feel a bit left out. Not everyone are able to mod their Switches, willing to risk it, or they are unable to afford a second one dedicated to modding. This differentiates the Animal Crossing New Horizons community from other games. Modding is usually something everyone can do and feel included in, but when it comes to Nintendo and their strict rules, modding your Switch almost comes off as a privileged position. Most of us will remain as spectators, unable to join the club, and I do think that is going to change how a lot of people view the game. When modders are able to use these incredible items and the rest of us are stuck behind, will it be worth to continue decorating our own islands? Using what we had and force ourselves to be creative with the limits we had made people make incredible builds, but now that the limits are gone, will people stop exploring the possibilities we have left? I am not sure, to be honest. If I could mod my Switch, of course I would play around with the fun new items instead of using the old items in the game, so I don't blame the modders. They are doing an amazing job, and honestly, I'm kinda jealous. But this jealousy might result in that the vanilla items will never feel fulfilling again. The other day, I saw Console Kato post a new island tour. And this is no hate to her or the creator of the island. I adore Console Kato in general and I love her videos, but the title did make me feel a little bit sad. Already, normal islands are referred to as unmodded, and the fact that it was unmodded seemed to be half of the selling point of the title. Just a few weeks ago, this would just have been an island. A cute, colorful island, and that's it. And now it feels like it's not worthy of that title anymore since it's not modded. Almost all the speed builds I see trending now are made with modded items, and that makes a lot of sense. The creators want to try out new things and show off cool mods, and the viewers who can't mod themselves lives vicariously through them. There is definitely a giant shift happening in the community now because of this. I've seen a few people, like Peyton's Corner, coming up with some possible ways to spice up your own gameplay if you can't mod your Switch. Making challenges for yourself to keep things more interesting by not terraforming, not using Nintendo Online, making mini-games, etc. Even though these are good ideas, and I recommend you check out her video, these are things that a lot of players have already tried to do when the game's popularity and interest first dropped. So maybe this is it. Maybe we are out of ideas. Maybe modding is the only way to keep the game alive. Or maybe it's already dead for most players. It's sad, but it's the truth. The hype for certain games comes and goes, and sometimes there's nothing we can do about it. Especially when modding is something not everyone can indulge in. There's not much to do about it. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I do think the lifespan of Animal Crossing New Horizons is soon coming to its end. The popularity it had at release during the pandemic is unmatched, but it continued to have a dedicated player base until recently. The 2.0 update did bring the spark back to many players for a while, but it didn't last long since we knew it would be the last update. My prediction for the Animal Crossing New Horizons player base is that most people will either leave their Switch on the shelf or move on to other games. No matter how much you love a game or how much you try to challenge yourself with what you got, there is a limit to how interesting it will be without any new content. But I do think that the people in the modding community will continue to thrive, making awesome mods and awesome builds. The rest of us will be ready to watch and follow them along their journey. It's a shame we'll only be able to watch them from the sidelines. So to answer the title of this video, is modding ruining the Animal Crossing New Horizons community? No, I don't think so. But I think the system Nintendo has built to prevent and scare most players from modding is what's doing it. The modders are not to blame, Nintendo is. And it is sad to see that such a wholesome and kind community will soon wither away. Of course, some of us will stay and continue to love the game, but it will start to feel more and more like a solitary experience rather than a communal one. If this is the end, I guess this is sort of a goodbye to most of you who used to enjoy the game. Maybe we'll reunite in a couple of years when the new game comes out. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're still here, feel free to like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you haven't done that already. I don't usually make discussion videos like this, but I think it was a lot of fun to research the different topics and put things together for you. I'd also love to hear what your opinions on the topic are. How do you feel about modding? Do you think the Animal Crossing New Horizons community will continue to stay the same? Is there a reason for non-modders to continue playing? Please let me know. I'm super interested in hearing what you guys think. I've left the sources I used when making this video in the descriptions if you want to check them out. I meant no harm in making this video, as I just thought this would be an interesting thing to discuss. These are my thoughts, so I can be wrong and you are totally allowed to disagree. That is what I have to say for this video. Hopefully I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye!